In the mid-1980s, homelessness was still a very new social phenomenon. It really was not common, and it was starting to emerge in places like Somerville. We began with a small and very dedicated group of founders, folks working at other organizations in the community, and together we established the coalition, hired its first executive director, Karen McCarthy.
When I applied for the job, I didn't know anything about Somerville. Okay, so I sat with 15 people to interview me, 15 in a circle. It's kind of intimidating. They were a group of people who were interested because they had seen homeless on the streets of Somerville and they wanted to do something about it.
There was a lot of controversy about the opening of the first shelter. The College Avenue United Methodist Church had stepped forward, saying that the church might be able to offer some shelter space. There were many people who were really afraid and didn't know what this was going to mean.
We had a lot of rules, like people had to be referred to the shelter to get in. They had to be escorted from the Davis Square T station up the street by a staff person.
It took many months to turn things around. Once people from the church and people from the neighborhood started to actually come in, bring meals in, volunteer at the shelter, and see that we were talking about people who weren't that different from them, people really turned around.
The staff that we had were really tremendous, very dedicated people, and a lot of them had either been homeless or had been recovering in some addictions. They made powerful staff people because they understood, they had been there.
We were so fortunate to have these folks that got together to create the Homeless Coalition give us such an incredible foundation to build from. They really instilled this philosophy of being a community, of creating a community, of taking care of people who are having a hard time taking care of themselves.
My philosophy about working with people, homeless or otherwise, is that we have to love people back to life. The big thing I wanted to make sure happened for the Somerville Homeless Coalition was that anybody that walked through our doors was treated with respect and dignity.
I was homeless with my 2 children. It was very hard for me. So I gave one daughter to her father, and my oldest daughter stuck beside me. It was Somerville Homeless Coalition's program that allowed me to get the apartment that I am in now. Having a stable house was the best thing that ever happened to her. I don't think she would have ever graduated college if she didn't have a stable home. I'm very, very thankful for Homeless Coalition. They absolutely saved my life and my children's.
Good afternoon, Somerville Homeless Coalition.
The Somerville Homeless Coalition is making a difference. I see prevention programs, I see expansion of housing and people maintaining their housing.
It's really hard that 30 years later, we are still operating homeless shelters and have way more homeless shelters in this state and country than we did 30 years ago.
And Massachusetts has the largest increase in the numbers of homeless people over the last couple of years. It's all about the cost of housing here. The state spends $36,000 a year to put a family in shelter. And right now, there are over 4,800 families in shelters and hotels and motels in Massachusetts. Our goal is to keep focusing on what can we do to keep people housed, to prevent them from falling into homelessness. It costs less than $1,000 to keep a family in their apartment. Let us do the short money to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. So much healthier for the children, so much healthier for a family, and it's so much healthier for society.
But the really important and good news is that we have organizations like the Somerville Homeless Coalition that are grounded in this community and committed. They're creating housing and securing housing resources and the kind of services that make it possible for some of the most vulnerable people in our community to end their homelessness and live in decent housing.
We know how to solve these problems. It's not rocket science. The answer to homelessness is a home. The answer to hunger is food. We'll do everything that we can to improve our community so that it's someplace that everybody can have a decent life, that everybody's got a chance to succeed.